Hi everyone, welcome to the new semester. And we're very fortunate to have two very good looking people here provide the inaugural PCED seminar for this semester. So let me introduce both of them. So Dr. Jeff Arapoc is an associate professor at the Department of Economics, College of Economics and Management, University of the Philippines, Los Baños. He earned his Bachelor of Science in Economics from UPLB, Master of Arts in Economics here at UPSE, and his Doctor of Philosophy in Economics from the University of Newcastle, Australia. A multi-awarded educator, ba? Parang ano lang ah. Parang actor lang. Multi-awarded educator, parang famous lang ah. Dr. Arapoc has been recognized twice with the UPLB Outstanding Teacher Award. Wow. For Social Sciences and Humanities, both under the junior and senior categories. Senior ka na pala, Jeff? 2016 to 2025 respectively. He likewise received Outstanding Teacher Award under the junior and senior categories in 2015 and 2024. At the UP system level, he was a two-time recipient of the 1 UP faculty grant for Outstanding Teaching and Public Service in Economics, 2016 and 2019. Dr. Arapoc has worked with both local and international research think tanks, including the Institute for Development and Econometric Analysis, IDEA, the Economy and Environment Partnership for Southeast Asia, or IPSE, and he is currently a research fellow at the Center for Behavioral Economics, Society and Technology at Queensland University of Technology in Australia. He is also involved in developing the economics education roadmap of the Philippines for the Commission on Higher Education. And this is the most important one. He is a co-founder and podcast host, di ba? Bihira yan, of Usapang Econ, an advocacy project that promotes economic literacy among Filipinos through accessible and engaging content. Now with Jeff over here is Dr. JC Punongbayan, who is an assistant professor at the University of the Philippines School of Economics and a former visiting fellow of the ISEAS Yusof Institute in Singapore. He earned his PhD from UPSE in 2021, where he also graduated. Balita ko, guwapo daw yung advisor mo. Okay. Also graduated summa cum laude in 2009 and was awarded the Jose Encarnacion Award for Excellence in Economics and Gerardo P. Sicat Award for Best Undergraduate Thesis. Multi-awarded din, di ba? So before joining the academe, he worked at the SEC, the World Bank Office in Manila, FEU Public Policy Center, and NEDA. JC writes weekly economics column for Rappler, and his first book, False Nostalgia, was published by Ateneo de Manila University. And in 2024, he received the 10 Outstanding Young Men Award, or TOYM, for economics. So without further ado, let us welcome both Jeff and JC. Sino ba mauna?
Thank you very much, Carl, for that introduction. Okay. So, is it already, So, good afternoon. It's actually very nice to be back here. Okay. Okay. The next slide ka na lang. Sorry. This one. Okay. So let me try it. Okay, there you go. So again, I'm Jeff, and I'm going to present our paper entitled, Is There a Grade Penalty for College Students Mismatch with Their Senior High School Tracks and Strands, Evidence from the University of the Philippines. So let me just give you a background of this research, because there were these anecdotal stories about students not having the right skill set for their degree programs. for example, in economics, because some strands, we realize that they don't have pre-calculus in their in their tracks. So JC and I decided to crunch the data. Actually, this topic was conceptualized here in UP School of Economics. So we decided to crunch the data. And then we realized that there's a lot of mismatched students with their degree programs if we're going to compare it with their senior high school tracks and strands. So basically, that's the inspiration of the study. So we already know that in 2012, the Philippines launched its the K-12 program. And we know that the components of the K-12 program is basically the additional senior high school, so additional 2 years. So it's a comprehensive reform of our basic education, where in this 2 additional years, there are 4 tracks. So we have academic, we have the tech voc, and then the sports and arts and design. Under the academic strand, you have 4 strands. So you have accountancy, business, and management, or the ABM strand, humanities and social sciences, or the HUM strand, science, technology, engineering, and mathematics, or the STEM strand, and the general academic strand. And then, of course, we also have the Tech Voc track, or the Technical Vocational Livelihood track, which also includes 4 strands: agri-fishery arts, home economics, information and communication technology, and industrial arts. So why SHS track strand college degree program alignment matters? There are already a lot of literature about it. SHS track aim to smoothen the shift to college and reduce dropout rates. According to a study by Manugas et al., a well-structured tracks improve readiness for specific college fields, like, for example, medical fields, engineering. Also, according to Tobolowsky and Allen, their study show rigorous high school prep enhances college performance. There's also this study by Alipio, where well-aligned tracks improve students' perceived academic performance and lower their dropout rates. Well, the K-12 reform aimed to better prepare students. The reality is that mismatches between SHS strands and college programs are actually very common. In fact, when we crunch the UP Diliman data, there's a lot of mismatch. But there is this limitation in our study, and we're going to talk about it later, because it seems that there is this selection bias in the UP system, because there's a lot of STEM students who are being admitted in the university. And we're going to talk about that later. Okay. So the research question of our paper is that what happens when students enter college programs that don't align with their senior high school academic tracks? Actually, GC and I have a lot of discussion about the indicator that we're going to use, because of course you can actually look at, for example, the duration of their stay in the university. You can also look at, for example, are they receiving honors? But because of data limitations, later on we're going to discuss the data limitations, we were forced to just look at the grades. Okay, so look at the grades. Now, for the analytical framework of this research, we use the Conley's theory of college readiness. According to this theory, there are 4 dimensions that prepare the students to college education. Number 1, the first dimension is the key cognitive strategy. So this includes critical thinking, problem solving, analysis, and reasoning skills. Second is the key content knowledge. So this includes foundational knowledge in core subjects and technical skills related to career aspirations. So it seems that this dimension is the target of the SHS track, right? Because it equips you, for example, if you want to go to engineering, it equips you with the right mathematical skills and all those skills that you might need for college. And the third dimension is key learning skills and techniques. So this includes self-management skills such as time management, study skills, and self-efficacy. Then the last one is the key transition knowledge and skills. So this includes understanding of the college admission process, financial aid, and the cultural norms of higher education. So again, the second dimension seems to be the main focus of why the SHS track was actually implemented. They want to improve the key content knowledge of students. So our hypothesis is that students with matching SHS strands have stronger foundation in relevant content, potentially leading to better college performance. But of course, upon crunching the data again, we realized that in the UP system, it seems that our admission is biased towards students who are taking the STEM track. So we decided to somehow modify the framework. Okay, because ideally, in an ideal situation, if we're gonna use the Conley framework, it's very easy. So you identify the SHS track and then compare it with a degree program. Is it match or mismatch? And then if it's matched, then there would be this grade reward or positive impact or grade reward. And if it's mismatched, the assumption is that there will be a negative impact or grade penalty. And that will reflect on their college performance. Of course, there are other factors that will affect college performance. But because of the data that we have, we decided to further modify it. So given these four dimensions, based on the literature, it seems that these two dimensions are actually being enhanced by the tracks. But according to literature, it seems that STEM integrated learning has a very high influence on students' scientific literacy abilities and students compared to other tracks. So later on, so we actually modify the framework. So we have these definitions in place. Later on, JC will show you the models that we run. And for example, we decided to distinguish different types of mismatch. So for the first mismatch, the weak mismatch, the student did not take the ideal SHS strand for their current degree program. While for strong mismatch, these are students who took the strand deemed least relevant to their current program. And this is the one that is, I think, very interesting because a lot of UP students are actually STEM. So what we did was that we have the STEM overshoot and undershoot. So what's the difference between the two? So for the overshoot, these are students who took STEM despite not needing it. So it means that they are STEM, but they're not in a STEM degree program. And then for the STEM undershoot, they failed to take STEM when it was essential. Because they're in a degree program that requires the skill of a STEM SHS graduate. So there you go. So for the methodology, actually, this is a very simple methodology. I think most of you are familiar with this one. So we employed a quasi-experimental approach in estimating a possible grade penalty from the mismatch. So we used propensity score matching used to compare academic outcomes. For this case, it's their grades between match and mismatched students while controlling for confounding variables. We use it as the covariates for this particular study. So it's very simple. So if you are a student with SHS track not aligned with with your college degree program, then you're considered a mismatch. So you're you're in the treatment group. And for otherwise, you are in the control group, where your SHS track aligns with your degree program. We also modified this for the undershoot, for the STEM undershoot and the STEM overshoot. So for STEM overshoot students, they are the treatment group. So the same thing is true for the other model where we treat the STEM undershoot as the treatment group. So technically, I think we run four models, right? Four propensity score matching models. There you go. And for the data, you want to? Okay.
Siyempre nag-tag present talaga kami para ma-maximize yung exposure ni Prof. Jeff. Okay, lumayo pa yan from Los Baños. So anyway, now the even more interesting part, what data can we actually use to test our hypothesis? Baliktad. So for the data, so as you know, I've been working with the Office of the University Registrar for a number of years, getting their data. Basically, kinukuha ko na yung data nila, as much data as I can, bago pa magmalit yung administrasyon. Okay? But this is interesting. We actually asked the data a couple of years ago, and it's only very recently that we got to sit down and crunch the data. So as you will notice, so we got the data for a select cohort of UP Diliman students, specifically those who were admitted for the academic year 2020, 2021, 2021 to 2022. Pandemic, okay. So I guess that's one of the things, the limitations as well, that this includes the cohort of the pandemic students. But yeah, so the thing with this data set is that this is the first data set I saw that includes data on senior high school tracks and strands. Okay, so there's no other data set that I've seen. I doubt that even DepEd has this. I mean, they have that data for sure, but we want to see at the college level, at the tertiary level, what kinds of tracks and strands they actually got. I was actually encouraging Prof. Jeff then to try to chami-chami with the Los Baños registrar para makuha din yung data sa Los Baños, but we settled with this for now. So what we have would be, this one would be students admitted for the academic year 2020-2021. So we have 2,671 students, and also those admitted for the next academic year, 2,419. Okay? Baliktad. Ayan. Ulit. So, a word on the limitations. So of course, this is only available for students who were entering during the pandemic. Ideally, we're still actually trying to get the more extensive data for the academic years before and after this. Okay, so that we can, as you know, propensity score matching is very data hungry. So I mean, kasi you're looking for a match you're trying to look for a control group kasi, and the smaller the data set is, the harder it is to find a match. Okay, so we're still trying our best to get the data for other academic years, but I think even now with the data, it's very interesting, the results that we got. And also, of course, the restricted covariates. So you match the treatment and control units, okay, using a set of covariates, diba? And for this, we use a bunch of them, student characteristics. There's even some income information in the data set, but it's limited, okay? Again, in an ideal situation where the CRS actually collects a lot more data, then we can include a bigger set of covariates. But we're pretty happy with the covariate matching that happened with this one. Okay, so just to give, yes, go ahead.
So this cohort did not take the
well, yeah, so ito yung mga pumasok. So remember that yung 2020, academic year 2020, they took the UPCA 2019, diba? 2019, yeah, exactly, correct. Ayun na yung pandemic, ano na. UPCA, yan yung UPCA ba? So kasama siya sa aming sample. Yeah. So later on, we also control for the year of admission as well in the matching. So just to give you an idea of how it looks like, So we have here those two cohorts, and then you can see the totals here, and then you can see the different tracks and strands that they got. So this is what Prof. Jeff has been mentioning. A huge chunk of the students in UP Diliman students are actually STEM graduates. Okay, and then very few na pinili yung TLE, TVE track. And then the vast majority would be the academic one. So this one, so STEM followed by ABM, followed by HUMS, and then yung general strand. And then the rest, okay? And then you get the totals. For a total number of observations, 5,090, okay, for these two specific cohorts, okay? So that's why we kind of came up with the STEM overshoot, STEM undershoot. Kasi STEM seems to be one of the defining characteristics of this, of the UPD students. So we wanted to approach the mismatch question from the perspective of STEM as well. Okay, what we did is that inisa-isa namin yung degree programs sa UP Diliman. Okay, so merong ganong klaseng data set. And then, of course, dito papasok ang aming parang value judgment, of course. Na parang, to say that there's a mismatch, parang i-judge namin kung ano ba ang best na track and strand for a given degree program. So yan yung basis yung first part of the analysis, okay? And this is the basis of the weak and strong mismatch, okay? So weak mismatch, hindi mo tinik yung quote-unquote best track that's needed for your degree program, and then strong mismatch, tinik mo yung least relevant for your degree program. Kung ikaw ay shifty, you can also think of kung nag-shift ka, edi baka that's an indication that in the first place, hindi ka pala good match dun sa iyong degree program. And then you have here yung STEM undershoot mismatch, okay? And then yung STEM overshoot mismatch. So what this means is that for these students, okay, so yung 5,000 students more or less, so you can see that the vast majority are good matches. Pero merong 220, okay, na dapat, ideally dapat sila ay nag-STEM pero hindi sila nag-STEM, okay? And then for the STEM overshoot, okay, may 749 na hindi nila kailangan ng STEM pero sila ay nag-STEM, okay? So we want to see kung hindi ka required ng STEM, but you took STEM anyway, kung meron bang bump dun sa grade mo, kung may advantage, grade bonus, if you will. Or the other way around, kung kailangan mo ng STEM, di ka nag-STEM, and in fact, hindi siya maliit na number, malaki-laki din ang lumalabas dito, kung meron bang penalty for these students. Okay? So, it's a pretty straightforward application of propensity score matching if you think of it. Okay, down to the results. Okay, so first here, we're showing yung estimates for the average treatment effect as well as the average treatment effect on the treated using nearest neighbor matching. And then using a number of different parameters, assuming 1 yung nearest neighbor or 3 just to see yung robustness of the results. Okay, and then what you have here is the average treatment effect and average treatment effect on the treated. Yung mismatch, yung coefficients are these ones, okay? And then we're looking at two different outcomes, yung first year GWA for these cohorts, and then yung second year GWA, okay? Now remember that in our university, a lower grade is a better grade, okay? So you want to see here na kung positive yan, ibig sabihin mas mataas yung average grade na nakuha mo, so is a penalty, okay? Pag negative, is a bonus, okay? So that's how you read the coefficients. So this one includes everyone. Okay, so wala pa kaming subsample analysis here. And you notice that even in this very broad, including almost everyone, for those who have data for these outcomes, you can see na negative for the second year GWA. Okay? And this is significant at the 10%, 5% level, 1% alternately. So you can see that there seems to be, even at the outset, seems to be a grade bonus that's happening. Okay? Somehow, merong grade bonus for those who are mismatched. Okay, and then you can see that for first year GWA, it's not so robust only in this specification, yung nearest neighbor 1 and then average treatment effect on the treated. However, there's still a lot that you can be unpacked here. Okay, so in other words, parang you have to dig deeper dun sa what's really happening. Kasi there's a vast disparity in degree programs as well as backgrounds, etc. So ito actually this should have come earlier. Pero this one shows you, of course, one way to test. Okay. Part of the analysis when you do propensity score matching is the covariate balance. Okay, so you want to see yung average characteristics of those in the treated and the control groups, and then also yung distribution of their propensity scores. So, di ba, as you know, if you have yung raw balance plot compared to the match balance plot, so before the matching, maaring iba yung distribution for propensity scores for control and treatment group, but after matching, dapat nag-align sila. Okay? And you can see that there's a very good alignment here do sa propensity scores after we do the matching. You can also check that with the balance plot. So you can see here that before the matching, magkaiba yung averages in outcomes, in propensity scores for control and treatment groups. And then after the matching, they're all identical. Okay, so just eyeballing yung mga balance plots, you can see that it gives you a bit of confidence about the results later. Now, as for the other results, so what we have here, we restricted naman here yung analysis for those who did not shift. Okay, kasi yung kanina kasama both shifties and non-shifties. Okay, but if you focus to sa mga non-shifties, yung mga hindi na umalis sa kanilang degree programs, let's look at the impact on their grades when there's a mismatch. Okay, and what you see here is that ayan, so for the first year, so hindi significant yung coefficients except for this one, but for the second year, ayan, again, yung bonus, parang lumalabas pa rin yung bonus at this level, okay? So, but again, this one is the mismatch, yung weak mismatch to. But for the case of UP, I think, we think that is quite relevant, yung STEM-based mismatch, actually. So let's look at the STEM-based mismatch, okay? So again, merong STEM overshoot, STEM undershoot, okay? So these two things, and then we are focusing now on the first year GWA, okay? So what this tells us, so this one, the results are pretty good, okay? So you have here positive coefficients dun sa STEM undershoot, okay? So what that means is that, again, STEM undershoot, kung ikaw ay nagpunta sa isang degree program na ano to, undershoot? Ayun, so hindi, ayun, so required ng STEM pero hindi ka nag-STEM, okay? And you can see that positive yung coefficients, okay? So in other words, may penalty kung ikaw ay hindi nakapag-invest in those STEM skills, okay? Pero required siya sa iyong degree program. And then, for STEM overshoot, yung baligtad naman, you can see that the coefficients are negative naman. So, in other words, kung nag-over-invest ka, so kung may STEM skills ka, pero hindi naman talaga required yung STEM skills sa iyong degree program, so parang may bump up, or mas mababa, so negative, so better yung grades mo, and this is significant at these levels. So, the same goes for second year GWA. So, the second year GWA is quite important kasi ito na yung mga major subjects, okay? So, dito na magkakaala, di ba sa Econ, halimbawa, di ba? Sa first year, parang naglalaro-laro ka. GE ka muna sa first year, di ba? Pero pag second year, ito na yung filter talaga, di ba? Magkakaalaman na talaga dito, okay? Now, let's look at STEM undershoot and overshoot. So again, you can see that STEM undershoot, okay, kailangan mo ng STEM, di ka nag-STEM, so positive yung coefficients and significant, all at, mostly at the 1% level. Now, for STEM overshoot, okay, so you invested in STEM, pero hindi naman talaga required, you can see na negative lahat and all significant at the 1% level, okay? So that's why we kind of focus on, yes, Ma'am Aleli. Second year GWA po, yeah. Not the cumulative one, yeah. Yes, apo. Yes, medyo.
So, lahat ng subjects ko, or you also do that disaggregation as major and then non-major?
Wala kaming ganong data, unfortunately. What they just gave us would be the GWAS lang talaga. But ideally, kung kung ma-push ko pa yung OUR, magdadala ako ng donut para magbigay sila ng data. Yeah.
If you could break it down by courses,
Yeah.
and then you see courses that are requiring STEM, halimbawa,
Mm-mm.
yung mga math courses,
Yeah, correct.
versus mga history courses.
Yeah. Mm-mm. Yeah, exactly. So that's a good way to expand this actually, given more data. Okay, so ayan, but speaking of just looking at the GWAS lang, you can see that there's this kind of disparity between those who overinvest in STEM and underinvest or overshoot, undershoot. Okay, so ano pa ba to? This is actually the same slide. Now this one, we kind of wanted to look at the clusters. So yung students, you can group them do sa science cluster, non-science cluster. So we kind of decided na siguro for the science cluster, those who are engineering, of course, College of Science, home economics, maraming STEM skills also needed here, statistics and architecture. Okay, so we kind of restricted the sample, and then we did the same analysis for those in the science cluster and those in the non-science cluster. So what does it mean if you are a STEM undershoot in the science cluster? So ito yung mga estudyante in these colleges, okay? Tapos hindi ka nakapag-invest in STEM skills. So you can see that the coefficients in the GWA are all positive, okay, and mostly significant. Okay, whether it's the first year GWA or the second year GWA, whether it's ATE or ATT, and using the various nearest neighbor assumptions. And then you can see yung STEM overshoot in the non-science cluster. So restricting the sample dun sa non-science cluster and then looking at the grades of those who overshoot. So yeah, again, you took STEM pero it's not really required, and you can see hindi significant actually. So in other words, what that tells us is that parang meron talagang severe penalty for those na kailangan talaga ng STEM pero somehow for one reason or another hindi ka nakapag-invest in it. Okay, so sa kanila damang-dama nila yung difference in their grades. But for those in the non-science cluster, like Econ, for example, Econ student ka, tapos nag-STEM ka, yun naman technically required, pero of course we have lots of math courses. So yun, wala siyang grade bump in this case. Okay, so in other words, yung pinaka-affected would be those in science, and then di ka nakapag-invest in STEM for one reason or another. Okay. And the thing is, actually nga you would think na parang lahat ng nasa College of Science at ENG dapat STEM, di ba? Pero, ayun, marami pa rin, hindi trivially low yung number of people who don't take STEM. So that needs to be addressed. Okay, so just as a summary of the findings, so we do not see that for mismatched students, they do not overall perform worse in terms of their first and second year grades. Non-shiftees even show a grade reward in their second year, suggesting adaptability or transferable skills. But I think the real insights really emerge when you focus on the STEM angle of this. So for STEM undershoot, there are large grade penalties, especially in the second year, and for STEM overshoot, there's a small but significant grade bonus, but the results are not as significant or robust compared to STEM undershoot. Okay, so what this, just tying everything together, so what this suggests is that the STEM strand provides, or seems to provide, strong transferable skills, beneficial even outside of STEM programs, and the lack of STEM preparation seems to be a major disadvantage, especially those in science and engineering courses, which is intuitive. Parang, gano'n naman sa Econ, diba? Ang daming intuitive results, diba? Pero it's nice to see them actually validated in the data. And that the alignment between science high school tracks and strands and degree programs seems to be more relevant in STEM-related or STEM-heavy courses, degree programs. Ayaw na. Next slide, please. Ayan, so I think there's still a lot to be unpacked here kasi we were thinking of various types, flavors of mismatch, if you will. And again, yung STEM seems to be one of the best angles, at least in the context of UP. But I think there's a lot more to be unpacked here. Again, STEM-related mismatch seems to be quite important, especially STEM undershoot. Now this relates to, or hopefully this kind of informs as well the policies, because there's a lot of talk right now about how to reform K-12. And there's relatively little attention paid doon sa connection between, or the necessity of matching yung mga senior high school tracks and strands, and then ensuring that these are matched well when students actually go to college. Kasi we have a college-going culture. Most students anyway go to college and don't take tech voc. So yung better matching, I think, will help a lot of students, especially those wishing to go to UP, for example, or other universities. So the way forward, so we should strengthen yung articulation between science, high school, and tertiary education, and integrate strand information in admissions and advising possibly, and provide stronger transition support. And also in the future, given better data, more in granular data, and also if we can look at the experience of other universities and colleges, maybe if we can also look to link them to yung mismatch dun sa labor market outcomes, if that's possible at all, then I think there's so much more that we can say about mismatch and its impact. Next slide, please. So again, just to go over some of the limitations. So we're asking for the data for other cohorts as well, so that we can test further the robustness of the results. And also if there are other covariates that we can use to make the matching. Especially if you're using propensity score matching, you need lots of data. And ayun, that will, I mean, ganun naman gusto natin, more data is better. So I guess, so that's it. Meron pa ba? Ayan, okay na. Thank you.
Pedro. Okay, and then I'll go. Pedro, you.
So, thank you, first of all, thank you for the presentation, very clever.
So first of all, thank you to the authors and the presenters for the presentation. Very good, very clever use of the data, and hopefully ma-expand nga natin yung data sets natin. So two things. So number one, I might have missed this, but so what information, did you have information on high school?
Yes.
So not the quality high school itself?
Yes, like
Okay.
if it's a science high school, right? Or public high school.
Public, private, science, high school.
Okay, so kasama ba yun sa covariates?
Sa covariates, sir, yes.
All right, and then number two, like within the strands, parang did you look at the distribution of the grades of the students? So like for example, sa STEM, kung mababa na yung grade ng estudyante sa STEM, baka dun pa lang may mismatch na between the skills and the strand. So baka, baka yung effect is not really the strand mismatch, but really, more on like the ability of the student, yeah.
Did you control for UPG in that case?
Yes.
Okay, you won't respond. So, sige, next and then you and then Mama.
Thank you for the amazing paper. Very interesting for me, especially you. Wala.
You can,
Hello. Okay. May dalawa na po akong question. Una, may subsample regression po ba tayo on removing science high school? Kasi personally, I think that the STEM overshoot may come from, yun nga, since at the age of 12 or 13, we sign up for science high schools. Pero most of us choose to not leave even though we're destined for something else. Yun nga, nag-econ ako. So not there. So it might be possible na may selection bias tayo from the start. High-performing students go to science high schools and then they stick with it and then choose another path later on and then they're classified as STEM overshoots. Tapos pangalawa, on the STEM undershoot effect, may pinublish yung Philippine Collegian na grade distribution ng UP Diliman and unsurprisingly, for the sciences, sila yung may lowest grades. So it might be possible that science majors take up more subjects in the science clusters that tend to get lower grades. So I'm also interested if possible na may C-score results tayo na parang compared to what's kung yung nasa median or norm, do they perform better or worse than the norm? Kasi simply looking at kung ano yung courses na tinik nila yung grades, may skew the results significantly. Kasi yun nga, if you're in the College of Science, tapos most likely mas marami kang 5 than the normal student in CSSP or in Econ. Yun lang.
Actually, that's a very good suggestion kasi hindi namin siya nagawa eh. Yung tanggalin yung yung science high school. That's gagawin namin yun. Actually, yung suggestion kanina nila Ma'am Craft, tsaka ni Sir Benjo, tama ba? Maganda rin sana yun kung nakafocus nga dun sa courses related to STEM. Try namin yung best namin makuha yung data, but that's gonna be very, very interesting.
Yeah, correct. I think meron ding, of course, yung endogeneity of yung choice of degree programs and also yung courses kapag ka nakapasok na sila. So unfortunately, hindi kasi visible do sa dataset kung ano yung mga specific or the course level. I'm doing another paper on grade inflation naman. Discuss ang title siguro. So actually, I'm going to present it siguro later this year. Baka pwede pa nating isingit or baka another day. Next sem, okay, sige. So, ayun. Yun, nakuha ko yung data at the course level per person, okay? Per student. So, siguro that may yield interesting results din. Pero wala kasing, yun naman, di nakakonect sa senior high track and strand. So, again, parang, I would suggest nga na parang kung merong universal data set, sana si OUR. Kaya, kaya nga, ako na lang kaya registrar. Buti pa, para kontrolado ng UPSE ang data. Okay. Pero yeah, I mean, very good suggestions. Thank you, Rex.
Hi, thank you for this talk. I had 2 questions lang. I guess the first one sort of answered na, pero did you control for, selection bias for senior high school students who want to go into STEM? Specifically, I think there's parang may stigma na STEM's a bit harder compared to, for example, humans or ABM. Is that taken into account? And second, COVID, because of COVID nag-online, no? During 2022 and 2021, is there any grade inflation? Do you account for that, no? For instance, the second year, usually it got better. Do you think that could be maybe caused by, due to online, grades just got better overall or something?
Everybody's subject to that, so it's a constant, unless you see there's a different pattern.
There's a numerical grade, sir, dun sa nakuha namin sa OUR. For your first question, we weren't able to do it kasi limited nga yung data dun sa high school type. Pero for the second one, yung online, parang hindi namin siya na-consider. Pero hiwalay kasi yung, pero I agree, it's also possible na, yeah, for the year of admission, yeah. Actually, we were able to get the data noong 2018. But the problem is that wala siya nung yung category ng kung STEM, right, 'di ba? So mas sana siya, mas exciting sana. Kasi pwede mo ding ma-check yung graduation rate, ganyan, or yung duration niya sa university. Pero 'yon. Kailangan maging registrar ni JC. Yeah, actually.
Every time undergrad says control 4.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for the presentation. Very interesting. So many possibilities, no, only if you have the data. But, well, it was kind of answered already. Kasi you noted that actually those admitted to UP, a lot of them are STEM.
Yeah, yes, ma'am.
Right, so I was wondering, what is the distribution? How does that compare with the general distribution of senior high school students as per the strand? Because then we'd see na may selection talaga, no, into UP. No, I don't know whether that data is available.
Actually, ma'am, interested nga din kaming tignan sa buong UP system eh. Kung baka kasi mamaya it's unique sa UP Diliman. But we're having a hard time getting the data dun sa buong UP system. But we will try, ma'am. Pero yun nga, maganda rin sana sa mga SUCs or private HEIs. Yes,
It's
ma'am.
just related also to geographical
Yes,
location because not all schools offer STEM. So may limitations din yung mga estudyante as to what strand they can take. There's another, okay, the other thing that probably we can explore, but this is suntok sa buwan, because they have a unique learner reference number, DepEd. So from grade school all the way up to high school, they have this learner reference number. And so if somehow your data can be matched to the learner reference number, then that can be, they can identify the strand. No? Kung, again, yun nga, suntok sa buwan because you have to look at all the data privacy issues. But have you presented this to the administration? Hindi pa.
Sa PES pa lang.
Actually, kamiting ko si UR Rowie the other day. Sabi ko, kung makaka-attend kayo, attend po kayo. Pero sabi namin, we're also willing to present this sa OUR and the
Sa
administration.
UC actually.
Sa UC, pwede rin, yeah.
Pwede rin, di ba? The other thing, sorry, I'm taking advantage. I'm hugging the mic. Yung ano din kasi, right now there's this move in DepEd to actually change again the senior high school. So what do you think would be the, kasi I think they're trying to just minimize the courses. And so for a STEM strand, halimbawa, that would mean probably less of the science and the math kasi parang almost like just an academic and without differentiation. So what do you think would be, just a study like another, you'll be engaged for the next few years just to analyze the impact of that. But, you know, I mean, just basing it on the results and your hypothesis, what do you think would be the implication?
I have a quick question, Jeff and JC. And I don't know if it's related to one already, but how do you code certain courses like Econ? Is it STEM or ABM? And is it robust to, I mean, you probably made judgment calls.
Yeah, definitely. Merong judgment call. So, of course, yung engineering and science, no-brainer. Kailangan na STEM talaga. Paano ba natin to dinebate, Jeff? Nagbato ba topic ba tayo?
Ang ginawa namin is, tinignan namin yung curriculum ng UP Diliman. Tapos, inis-isa namin per college. And then we evaluated yung curriculum niya based on the content, parang ganyan. Pero yun nga, madami talaga, judgment call. So, actually, naisip na rin namin ni JC to look for a literature really saying that, for example, this particular degree program is STEM or this is UMS. Pero mahirap. Nahirapan kami maghanap. Ang ano natin ay ABM. Kasi sa literature, may mga literature kasi kaming nakikita pero wala talaga nung parang ito yung Bible. Parang iba-iba yung sinasabi. May nagsasabi rin ng UMS ang economics. Yeah. Actually, yeah. My question. Actually,
Okay, are there any questions?
Yes. Marami pala.
Ayun po. So, comment lang po dun sa considered ang Econ as ABM. I think, ayun po, akala po namin noong una it would be considered sa kasama sa science kasi ayun, maraming calculus and we had to take bridging courses to take the other...
UP lang yata.
Ayun, so as ABM students po, we had difficulties in taking the math courses and kaya kinailangan po na. And dun lang po sa new data siguro sa mga magtitake. Actually po sa provinces ngayon, parang may mga ginagawa na as experiment. I mean, hindi naman sa experiment, pero may mga chosen specific schools na po per province na tinatry na nila yung may core subjects na lang instead of strands. So, this school year po, may iba na, yung mga public high schools is same pa rin, may stands pa rin, pero there are schools na hindi na ganun. So, if may kukunin po sigurong data from this year, it would be difficult to assess that kasi magkaiba na po sila ng curriculum na ginagamit.
Pero actually, nice point yun. Kasi nung ginagawa namin ni JC, sa UPLB, kasi may Econ din kami. Tapos, may mga ABM, normally wala sila ng pre-cal. Tama ba? Wala kayo ng pre-cal compared to STEM. Important yun dun sa... Kasi di ba tinanggal natin yung Math 17? So, very, very important.
First off, wonderful presentation, very straight to the point. Now, I have a question. After discovering that STEM students are, in general, more capable of adapting to non-aligned programs and transferring their skills along, shouldn't we then try to observe other tracks and try to figure out why they're not as competitive and adaptable as STEM? And if possible, is there any data on how competitive the other tracks are compared to STEM and of course, et cetera, et cetera. And also, I like the recommendation that we could try to get data from other universities just to try to find out if it's possible that this kind of phenomenon is also happening outside of Diliman.
Yeah, I think one of the main constraints, Sean, is that, again, in the case of UP kasi, the vast majority is STEM. So kumbaga, if you're talking about yung treatment group, tapos TLE, TVE, for example, is too small. So you cannot really test yung average treatment effect on the treated. The variances will be so big. So it's a data problem, basically. But you're right, na if we maybe look at other universities which are not, where the studentry is not so STEM-centric, baka there's a large enough sample that we can test yung penalty or bonus for other tracks and strands as well.
Actually, meron kaming mga initial runs ni JC. We decided to run for each, strand. Ginawa rin namin per college, kaso hindi siya nagmamatch because of the data. Kasi nga limited for other strands. So, kaya nagkaroon ng STEM overshoot and undershoot. So, yeah, kung makakakuha ng data from SUCs, probably magagawa siya.
So, kailangan mo magpa-appoint as, si Jeff naman, Chet. Who you are, Chet?
Not sure if this will be a stupid question, pero yung isa po kasing point na nag-strike sa akin was yung that STEM produces transferable skills. So, yung curious question ko is, if that is the case, wouldn't it be tempting for policymakers to just focus on the STEM strand? So, and if that will happen, how do we respond as economists, researchers, ganyan. Kasi I'm sure hindi naman din yun yung yung dapat maging move of the but it will be tempting. Yeah, so
Ako nga, ang naisip ko kasi, it means that probably yung pag-aayos ng curriculum, hindi lang din sa senior high eh. Baka kasi may mga elements yung STEM that you should already train yung students sa pa lang, sa basic education, like grade school at saka junior high. Para meron na, kasi according sa literature, yung STEM kasi, meron din siyang contribution nga dun sa critical thinking, logical reasoning. So, kung siguro ang magandang implication niya, baka pwedeng kunin, tapos ibaba. Like for example, for basic, tapos sa junior. So that when choose yung mga strand, meron na sila na build na yung dimension na yun nung kay Conley. Yung mga logical reasoning.
I agree. Certainly, hindi naman objective ng gobyerno na gawing STEM na lang lahat. Kaya nga ginawa yung senior high school to begin with, parang to accommodate the diversity of different talents and different skills. But the problem is, at least for the case of UP, parang STEM yung investment is really crucial. But again, we need to look at the other places as well, other universities. Baka naman iba din yung lumalabas or baka hindi naman STEM masyado yung crucial. So, for all we know, baka naman yung TLE, TVE are more relevant or my grade bonus, for example, in other settings. It's a matter of expanding this study and looking at the other places where the data is available.
Okay, one more question and then we'll go to another track, the Zoom track. Okay, ikaw muna.
Hello, okay. Thank you for the presentation as well. No big surprise that my question is also related to the STEM undershoot, overshoot issue. I'm just curious if this kind of framework will also be applicable if we were to analyze UPCAT takers. Because what I see in the future is that there would tend to be more STEM overshoot students since it's a trend in the senior high school that students would rather take STEM mainly for the purpose of passing college entrance exams. So I think that's something that we can consider then.
Pwede siyang i-apply. Yung outcome variable lang yung papalitan. Yeah, but that's another study nga. Very interesting.
Yeah, I will go to Zoom first before calling you. Can you please guide me the e-certificate? Ay, hindi, iba pala. Alam mo, do you think it's possible that STEM students, on average, already had higher grades to begin with than non-STEM students before going into college? They could have a better system of studying, or the top students of their batches. This could be one driving the results that those who take STEM generally do better. So high school pa lang.
Ako naman, I don't think so. Kasi nung nagka-UP ka, di ba, nagka-problema yung FISAI at saka yung UP Rural, mababa yung passing rate nila kasi mababa yung grades nila sa high school. So I'm not sure, pero siguro it's interesting to look at the data. Kung i-compare mo siguro dun sa high school. But actually, inisip namin, possible nga din kasing may selection, self-selection siya. Mag-STEM ka if you're good. If you're, pwede rin kasi yun. So, valid yung question niya. So, kung may data, it's nice to crunch that.
So, Gabby, I just asked yung UPG, parang you control for you.
Yeah, yes po.
For the science cluster, do you include engineering courses also?
Yes po. Yes.
Hi, Sir JC and Sir Jeff. Considering that the data set were from students who were admitted during 2020-2021, do you think, academic ease, I think you answered.
Yeah. We control for the year of admission, yeah.
Even in the senior high school level, students are not accepted to STEM if they are not intellectually capacitated and performing. Is that true? Or are they free to, may entrance exam ba sa high school, to determine to STEM ka? Or are you free to choose?
Okay, based on my experience, in Ateneo, what they do is they take the entrance exam to senior high, and then it's an entrance exam as well as a stranding, as parang sorting. So in a sense that, but I'm not sure about other schools, whether they do that. So I guess it's based on the grades and the aptitude, whether you're streamed. Wala namang wala naman yata. But that's so it's an entrance exam to senior high plus a sorting thing. Okay. But yun nga, there are based on the experience then, a lot of those who take their valedictorian is one from ABM and not from STEM. So the grades in ABM are relatively higher than in the STEM.
Iba-ibang faculty members for each grad, at least for Ateneo, or I mean sa high school.
Yes, because iba yung, halimbawa, math, may pre-calculus sila, so wala namang pre-calculus yung ABM, pero may accounting yung ABM. So iba yung faculty members. I'm not sure about the English, hindi ko alam. But I think those are mainly common. But the other disciplines, iba na yung teachers.
I think we have probably 5 to 10 minutes left. And then
Good afternoon po, Sir JC and Sir Jeff. My first question would be, do you think that the results, the STEM overshoot specifically, of your presentation is influenced by the fact that most, if not all of the students na gifted or those from the higher or section 1 of their high school and elementary students go to STEM po? And second, do you think that this study or the results are influenced by the fact na this is from UPCA and not from UPCAT po? And the fact po na yung UPCAT po is yung composition po niya, may influence po ba yung dahil 60% exam, 40% grade, or there should be changes po dun para ma-address yung issue?
But remember that the UPCA formula din, gumamit sila ng principal components analysis for that eh. So in other words, parang correlated din siya dun sa score mo. So kumbaga they tried to compute it for UPG, or ano yung katumbas na UPG and parang using the UPCA methodology. So they're highly correlated actually. So I don't think that matters a lot. Pero at any rate, in the study kasi, we controlled for, to take into account yung different cohort, parang we also controlled for the year of admission in the analysis and a bunch of other covariates, high school background, for example, yung UPG as computed. So yeah, so at least yun yung efforts namin to try to control for those things. Sorry.
Hello? Oh, I think parang ako lang from social science. So hearing the result, parang it's scary for me na parang majority, it's so homogeneous. So in my mind, like, what kind of social structure ang iso-support ng STEM leaning na ano? But on ano lang is, I noticed sa senior high pa lang, I think marami na talagang STEM. I think, like, in my kids' school, isa lang yung UMS. It's so sad. But on the other hand, yung UPCAT kasi, dalawa na yung science and math. It's already STEM leaning na ano. And then I don't know saan na part yung UMS, probably the Filipino and English. And then coming from like other provinces, yung Filipino parang it's a struggle na. So I think yun lang ang, hindi yun question, parang nagpalalabas lang ako ng sama ng loob. I mean, come on UP, we can do better. It's so homogeneous, like it's so sad. Sorry.
Malaki bang weights ng science and math or science and
Equal weights yun eh, yung apat na subtests ng UPCAT. Yeah. Oo, yeah, kaya nga.
Sorry, clarification lang. So you did use UPG, di ba? What's the formula for UPG? Would you know? Are there like correction factors for like type of school or I'm not familiar kasi, so that might be biasing too.
Yeah, yun yung dissertation ko basically. Pero yung UPG essentially 60-40. They simplified it since 2006. So yeah, 60% high school grades, 40% UPCAT. We reverted to that again nung bumalik na si UPCAT eh. We were actually devising a new UPG formula sana, but it was thumbed down by the administration. But the thing is, yun nga eh, parang the way the UPG has been constructed in the past kasi parang it has led to, of course, richer students coming in, yung mga science high school students coming in. So in other words, parang if you want more diversity in the university, parang one way is to tweak the UPG itself. But yeah, so the current one is 60-40. It's not UPG per se, it's the UP Admissions Index ang tawag sa kanya. Pero most people just call it UPG.
But within the high school grades, is there a correction factor for the school?
Yes, yun yung tinatawag na adjustment factors. So for the yung mga kuripot magbigay na grades, they kind of look at the history, yung historical trends nung grading, and then kung kuripot magbigay, medyo tataasan mo, kung masyadong liberal, babawasan. So ganun yung adjustment factors. But in the new formula we were devising, we were recommending na tanggalin na yun kasi it's not a transparent way, not very transparent. Masyado siyang involved yung math. People sa math and stat ang nagde-devise nun actually, but we want it as simple as possible.
Yeah, sidebar lang, not related, pero sa UP College of Medicine, meron din correction factor na introduced in the past 10 years. So dati, sa class ko, 160 kaming medical student, 40 ang galing sa psychology. Tapos ngayon parang less than 10 na lang. So in that could be another application for that. Kung kailangan yun ng tulong sa UP Manila, makakatulong ako sa UP Manila. So yun lang.
Okay, thank you, Benjo. Thank you. Si Benjo ang sa link natin.
So I think you have a question and I can accommodate two more if there are any other questions. So one and then one more. Adrian.
Ayan po. My question would be po, wouldn't you think na yung mismatch po would already be done po sa pag-enter pa lang po ng senior high? Because sa junior high school, in our school specifically, meron po kayong mga tracks. So there's STE, SPA, SPJ. And then parang there's this conception po na parang if you're STE, STEM lang pwede mong i-take. And then personally speaking din po, mayroon po kasing exam sa STEM sa amin. So if di ka, hindi naman po siya sa dahil hindi po masana, natatakot po yung students na mag-take kasi kulang po sila ng knowledge sa sa STEM. So parang ang naging system po, yung exam namin is for sectioning. So yung highest sa exam, first section, ganun po. So ayun po, baka pwede lang po makonsider na parang sa junior high school pa lang, it's possible na may idea na ma-mismatch sila.
Class pa ako ng 5. I'm asking. Well, I'm just kasi parang I wonder if your results have anything to say about advanced bridge programs. Di ba kasi in Diliman we have the math which is required for non-STEMs. Who are taking courses with Math 21. So would taking the bridge program have sort of tempered the bonuses or the penalty for your STEM overshoot or undershoot?
Actually, I was able to get yung data nung sa LB kasi may bridge program din kami but just for the College of Economics and Management pero sa math lang. Actually, nakakakuha ko lang. Pero hindi ko alam kung makukuha yung sa UP Diliman, but that's actually a good additional study kasi sa amin yung college pala namin yung gumagastos for that. So kung maganda yung results, then pwede siyang i-replicate sa ibang units. So yeah.
Pero even with that, sabi ng results nila is walang effect baka dahil may bridge program.
Oo, kasi hindi pa namin siya nasama, sir, yung kung nag-bridge program. So, hiwalay siyang study. Pero, hindi ko rin alam kung paano i-incorporate, no? Pero sa UP Diliman. Kailan siya in-implement dito? Kasi sa UPLB, 20...
To test yung before and after the implementation. Yeah. So parang magiging PSM, DID na yung
parang
study.
Siya, ibang methodology siya. Yeah.
Okay, so there are people who have classes here. Let's formally end and thank JC and Jeff. Thank you for the very interesting presentation. And there's food over there. And let me just take this time to thank our staff from the research office. Thank you. JC and Jeff in the sidelines. Thank you so much for attending.
Thank you, thank you.
Photo op? Photo op pala. Sorry. Oh, by the way, pakisagutan